Oh, hi there. Ollie Anderson here. As you can see, I've changed my location. I've gone back to the basics. This is where I first started making videos. I've also done it because I'm incredibly vain and the lighting I have upstairs makes me look about 6,000 years old, which isn't good. And if I sit here, I've got this window light shining upon me. It seems like I'm basking in almost holy light. And that feeds into my narcissism, which is a great thing, and which I think is going to emit a better kind of energy. Something like that. People always talk about energy, throwing that word in there. And the other thing you need to know before I get on with this video is that I have a bit of man flu. I don't know if you can tell from my voice, it's kind of going. I need to sniffle every couple of seconds because that's the only thing keeping me alive. If I make one of the videos I have been making that's like 20-30 minutes long, there's a good chance I'm going to keel over and drop dead, which I don't mind that much because this channel does talk about death a lot. So, you know, that would be an almost poetic ending to this video series, even though it's a very new thing. And of course, I don't want to be a hypocrite, you know, talking about death and then not dying. Is that hypocritical? I'm not sure. This video is not going to be super long. I say that all the time, but I actually mean it this time. I'm going to try and stick to it purely because of this man flu situation that I've got, and because I should probably try a shorter video just as a matter of public interest, so that I'm not confusing everybody by talking for too long, overcomplicating topics that are simple to me because I spent so much time with them, but which may not be quite as simple to other people. I'm going to go back to the basics, keep it on an even keel, nice and focused, yada yada yada. Wasted 2 minutes already. Hope you enjoyed that little rant of an introduction. What are we talking about in this video? Well, I will tell you. We're talking about two little things. These are two little mantras. I don't know if it's officially a mantra, but kind of a mantra. Two little mantras that always pop up, or often pop up, not always, in coaching sessions I'm doing with my client, and which are in some of my books. You've probably seen these on my Instagram, whatever. But I want to tell you how you can adapt these two little mantras in your life so that you can stay more real, you can stay in the zone, and so you can remove unnecessary BS from your relationships with other people and from your relationship with yourself. Now, this whole channel, this whole philosophy that we've got going on over here is very simple. It's just about the idea that if you want to get where you want to be in life, if you want to unblock yourself and express the true version of you, the true creativity that you have, the true connection that you have to all things, the true confidence, the true blah-de-blah, everything basically, then you need to unlearn all of the BS that you've picked up along the way to get in here where you are today watching this video. Most people, I think, we've covered this in some of the other videos already, are born knowing who they are and where they're supposed to be going. They're wholeness machines. That's what we've called them. And they're constantly striving towards wholeness. They're constantly growing. But unfortunately, they put different obstacles in their own path, which are ultimately just their erroneous assumptions about themselves, their mistaken thoughts about the world, and their mistaken assumptions and thoughts and beliefs about reality and what's actually possible. And all of that stuff can basically be categorized as social programming. They pick it up from the outside, and once they take it on board and start hypnotizing themselves with it, they are no longer being real because they're buying into programming and illusions that constantly stops them. It's like they're constantly jittering and juttering forward and not getting anywhere because they're not responding to anything real. And what we're talking about on this channel, Growing Real, is putting ourselves in situations where we are committed to living a life where that stuff, whatever it is, which is always caused usually by shame, guilt, and trauma, and then the social programming that reinforces that, and the self-hypnosis that we put ourselves through so we can keep repeating the same scripts. This channel is about removing all that shit out of the way. So the two little mantras that I want to talk about before I, keel over and die today are, first of all, one, about our relationship with ourselves and our doubts and concerns about our own behavior in the world. And then two is about how we interact with other people and how we can keep those relationships real, set healthy boundaries, and avoid drama and unnecessary tension and yada, yada, yada in those situations. So the first little mantra, I don't know if mantra is the right word, but that's what I'm calling it. The first mantra is something you've probably heard me say if you've seen me elsewhere. And it's pretty simple. Real always works. If you want to remember that, get it tattooed to your arm, stick it to your fridge, pay one of those planes that can fly across the sky with a banner, and have it follow you around. Real always works. That's one of the things in life that has really helped me to grow more real myself, stop worrying about stupid shit that doesn't matter, to stop doubting things about who I am, to increase my confidence in general, because I'm not necessarily worried about what people think or any of that crap. And it's because if you're working to go through this journey of growing real, then ultimately what you're doing is working to increase your levels of self-acceptance. And if you want to accept yourself, then you have to accept reality. And understanding that cracks open all kinds of different things. Because if you are real, it means that you're stepping away from judgment. You're not bothered about good and bad, you're just doing what needs to be done. And so you step away from all that dualism and nonsense, and you don't attack yourself with these thoughts about what you should and shouldn't be doing. You just do what you know you need to do. Real always works as well, because the thing, as we've already said, that holds us all back in life is the social programming, the illusions, the confusions, the mistaken assumptions, and the false identity that we pick up because of unresolved emotional stuff. And that puts a block between us and whatever actions it is that we want to be taking to get where we think we want to be. And if you remember this mantra that real always works, then in those moments where you feel like you're a bit confused or you're a bit down, then somehow saying that to yourself kind of circumvents all these thoughts and all this nonsense that's floating around in your head, and it allows you to just get back to the real place. Because all of us already know what's real. We know when we're fooling ourselves. We know when we're going against our own essence or our own soul or any of that stuff. We know deep down what's real and what's not, because we know when we're coming from a place that's whole, where our heart and our head is aligned, or when it's just all this head stuff, this social programming, the fear, the pride, the false desire of a false image we picked up. And that's the only cage that we live in. And the self-image that, I call the ego, which basically is the manifestation of all those ideas, those unreal ideas, is the ultimate prison for any human being. And the way out of it, the key out to open the door, which is always open anyway, is to remember that real always works. It applies in any situation. If you don't know what to do in a job interview, okay, just be real. If you don't know what to say to your partner, just be real. If you don't know what to do on YouTube or wherever the hell, just try being real. Like, it's honestly that simple. Other people respond to your realness. It gives them permission to be real too. Everybody's waiting for that ultimately, because nobody is, nobody's the wrong word, but a lot of people are holding back and they're just waiting for somebody to lead the way to be real. So real always works. It works every time, because reality is the only thing that can work. The last video was about illusions. A few people emailed me since or whatever, and they kind of thought that sometimes illusions can be a good thing. And I suppose in the short term, yeah, okay, they can protect you, blah, 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 blah. But the only place where anything ever happens is reality. And if you want to get results and you want to have a better relationship with yourself and other people and all those kind of things, then what you need is reality every time. Reality is the only true foundation that exists. That is just the way it is. And your illusions are the only thing that can keep you from it. And anytime you're miserable, you can guarantee it's because you're following the antithesis of what I'm saying with real always works. You're doing something unreal. And the unreality always makes you miserable because it takes you away from that foundation of reality, which is where you want to be in the first place. That's where we all belong, in reality. And in this unreal world that we have created, people can get confused because their identity is actually something that they've constructed because of the unreal world and all of the confusion and blah, 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 blah. And It just leads to people being attached to illusions. And that is when the shit hits the fan, because that process of having illusions and trying to keep them in place, making the unreal work, takes a lot of energy. It drains people, or you constantly get friction between you and reality because you're constantly giving to something that doesn't exist. You're holding it up in the air. And then, of course, reality is going to come back in the end. You're going to go crashing down to life. And then that process of losing your illusions and having the whole what goes up must come down thing, it's going to cause you turmoil as well, because once you crash from the illusion to the reality, you have to rebuild, and you have to go through that process of letting go of things which human beings don't like doing because their identity is attached to the things that are unreal so that they can keep the unreal self-image in place in the first place. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I've been talking for 11 minutes. I thought I would have dropped dead by now. That's the first mantra. Real always works. The second one is still linked to reality, obviously, but it's not necessarily about our behavior and stuff like that, which is what real always works is kind of reminding us to do. Although, of course, you can use real always works for other people as well. But the second one is about our relationships with other people from a real point of view. And the little mantra is, give me something real or GTFO. Give me something real or GTFO. This little phrase, which is from Shadow Life, my book, has saved me so much time and energy and drama and just stress in general, because it's shown me that if a relationship, not just a romantic relationship, but like an acquaintance or even a friendship or whatever, reaches the point where there is nothing real there anymore, then there is no point keeping it alive. You can try to do that, but if it's unreal, then any attempt to heal the relationship is actually going to fail, because you can't heal something that's unreal. You can only pray, or whatever word you want to use, that the unreal person involved is going to wake up and stop doing whatever ego bullshit stuff they're doing that is making the relationship unreal in the first place. Now, normally, even if you're real and somebody else is unreal, your realness can kind of wake the other person up, or at least remind them of who they really are, and they will start to wake up, and then you will have a situation where it balances out and people become more real overall, collectively. But sometimes people are so caught up in their own ego stuff and their own desire to prove to themselves that their self-image is true, or to keep resisting reality so that they can keep their own emotional stuff at bay and hide behind whatever little box they've decided to put themselves in for the sake of avoiding that emotional stuff, that there is no saving the relationship, at least in the short term. It's possible you can go your separate ways and, you'll both grow real independently. But when it occurs in the way that I'm talking about, you do get a state where sticking together just for the sake of it, because it's a habitual thing or because you're used to it, is just going to cause problems. And the problems are going to be drama, because if someone's in this ego state where they're constantly trying to get you to be responsible for their ego and play a certain role so that they can do that, then that's going to lead to them either playing the victim or trying to rescue you or persecuting you or whatever it ends up being, some dramatic role that is basically a fight for their ego to stay in place. And that's just going to drive you fucking crazy, because you're going to be going around in circles constantly. It's going to be a waste of energy, obviously, because drama is always unreal, and you don't want to put your energy into stuff that's unreal anyway, as we talked about before, because you're going to be dead one day. So you need to use your energy to invest in real things. So you're going to, if you start getting too much drama, give me something real or GTFO. Put your foot down. Probably they won't give you anything real, because they can't just click their fingers and magically be real again. So off you toddle, go live your life. And that doesn't mean that you're resentful to those people or that you want anything bad to happen to them. You still want them to enjoy life. You still want them to eat and have abundance and all the opportunities and whatever else that life has to offer. You just don't want them to do it in your life, which is totally cool. It's called being real and setting a boundary. And real always works. So gimme something real, or GTFO. It's not just drama, like maybe there's just some false connection that's there because people are using you, might be a fake friend who's just trying to get information from you or whatever it is so that they can, I don't know, climb the social ladder, or they might be, I don't know, that you might have something that they want, whatever it is, you know when people have been real and when they're not. And if your baseline, your criterion for the relationship is give me something real or GTFO, then you're always going to be investing to make it as real as it can be. But when it becomes unreal and you've made your mind up as a rational, intelligent human being that there's no saving this relationship, then okay, the chips are down and you can make a move. You can GTFO yourself and save your time, energy, and attention, which are the most important things that you have. So there are two mantras. I'm going to wrap up the video basically because I do feel like I might drop dead any second, which is amazing. And just to review what we said, there's two things that can help you. They're both based on the fundamental premise that the main thing you need in your life to feel good, to feel energized, to get high on life in the way that we've spoken about in one of the other videos, is reality. You always need reality. That is the baseline that you are seeking at all times in your life. Or not seeking, because if you keep seeking, then you get in that state where you're constantly looking. You just uncover it, you find it. It's always there. That's a bit of a semantic distinction, but what? So anyway, you always need reality, and that applies to your relationship with yourself and the way that you choose to behave. So real always works there. And when it comes to your relationships with other people, a little reminder that can keep you in that real place is give me something real, or GTFO. And you got to give everyone a chance, but if it's consistently unreal and you're just getting drama and it's taking you away from your own real life or stopping you having real relationships with other people that are going to give you something real back, then give me something real, or GTFO. And normally by doing those two things, or living in those two ways, real always works, and give me something real, or GTFO, things are going to work out because you're just flowing. You're high with life, you're going in the direction that you need to go in, and you've got that foundation, which is that life is real and so are you. And if you accept reality, you accept yourself, and you can minimize the unnecessary friction in your life. And unnecessary friction always turns to frustration, and that turns to misery on a long enough timeline. And just by being real with yourself and with other people, you can save yourself from a lot of BS. Peace.